Hi guys, so people consistently ask me that how do you manage to control smells and ensure that your farm does not smell? Yeah, because I can imagine the reason they ask that is because every time they get around a poultry farm, it really smells. It always stinks, and they're just wondering, how do you manage to have a farm that doesn't smell? Or they think that actually my farm does smell. Now I want to show you something. Yeah, you can see that we have a poultry house right here, and right in the background is my chicken house. Yeah, so I have a poultry house here and another poultry house here right on the side. So just a few meters away, not even 10 meters away, is my house, and I have poultry houses right here. And I'll tell you something, I live very comfortably. I barely live with a smell around over here. Of course, you might have a little bit of an odor of like air that's not clear coming from in if you're just stepping like where I'm positioned right here on particular days, if the wind is just blowing in the perfect direction. But you should be able to move around, and the farm should be comfortable enough. I mean, the guys live just right here. Yeah, I'll just move and show you guys. So again, you can see the chicken houses right here, and we'll just move through right here. You guys can see my daughter. This is Daniela, my little girl, dressed in gumboots. I always bring her to the farm. She's just 3 years old, and I always bring her to the farm just so she's used to the farm environment and everything. So while I'm moving around, she's just following me, as you can imagine, a child. But that's the house where the guys sleep, where some of the guys sleep, and this is, a poultry structure. So again, you can see how close in terms of proximity that it is. Yeah, and we don't have any smells happening around. You can see our feed store right there. You can see another house. Yeah. So the houses are just very close to where the guys are living. And I'll be honest with you, yeah, the guys can actually eat and live very comfortably inside here or around here without having like any toxic gases. Now, just to prove my point, I want to enter the house which has the oldest flock. So this chicken structure here has our oldest flock. This flock is about 88 weeks in terms of age. And so we're just going to go inside. Yeah, you can see that it's coming to evening, but someone has just come out and they have just been collecting some eggs inside there. Yeah, so let's go inside and just see how clean or how hygienic the place is. So we have a food dip right here, which I'll certainly utilize before we go in, and then I'll take the ramp to go into the poultry house. So this is our oldest flock. So it should really give us kind of a picture of what's happening inside here. So let's get in. So we'll open our door. Hi guys, hi guys. And as soon as I get in, well, you guys can tell that the flock is quite old. Yeah, how can you tell? Look at their necks. Look at the neck of that one. Look at the neck of that one. Can you see the necks? Yeah, you can see even the ones that look quite nice in this. Yeah, you can tell that some of their neck feathers are fluffed off. Yeah, this is just a testament to how old the flock has become. Yeah, the birds are quite old. That's the honest truth. They are quite old. 88 weeks. Yeah, so that means the birds are quite old, but the birds are laying very, very beautifully. Yeah, we'll just move around. Now, take a look at that. Can you guys see a bird dust bathing? We shall call it dust bathing, because ideally in another world it would be called sun bathing. Yeah, but that is dust bathing. Yeah, so let's just take a look at some of the litter right here. Can you guys see the litter? Yeah, the litter is very nice and dry. Yeah, very nice and dry. You can see it. Yeah, and this is just how the entire structure is. The entire house is right here. Even if I move around, I should be able to find other areas where the birds are dust bathing. For example, can you see? That's another area where you can see the birds dust bathing. That means the house is comfortable enough for them. If the floor was wet, you wouldn't have chickens moving inside there or trying to lie down and dust bathe from inside there. Yeah, but this very old flock, this very old chicken house is actually very comfortable for the chickens. And as a testament to how well these birds have been raised, they also have decided to, give us a very, very nice production. Like I shared with you guys, these birds are 88 weeks old, and today they gave us 77% in terms of production. Sometimes they'll do, 78. Actually, some days they'll even do 80%. Once in a while, they'll drop down to like 76, maybe 75, very rarely. But most of the time, they're going to be between 77 and 80% in terms of production at 88 weeks. Now, just to let you know, at 88 weeks, we expect to be about 76 point something percent. But these guys are consistently doing 1 or 2% better in terms of production, and sometimes even 3 to 4% better. Yeah, that means that they are comfortable where they are. They are comfortable inside this chicken house. If this chicken house was smelling, if it was terrible, if the environment inside here wasn't very good for them, they wouldn't be producing like this. Yeah, because birds that are not comfortable, birds that are living in a house that smells, actually not going to give you what you want. Yeah. So how have we actually managed to have a poultry house that doesn't smell? Now, I know that it's quite loud for you guys right inside here, so I'll just get out just to share more comfortably and not to stress the birds out, because as you can hear, when I'm speaking, they get really, really loud. Yeah, really loud. I'll just keep quiet for a second and you guys can hear them. Yeah, so as long as I'm speaking, the birds just get quite loud. So let's just get out of this place. There's also a bit more light outside. So I'll tell you exactly how we managed to keep this house like this. So first thing is the aeration. You guys can see the sides of the house, yeah, how open they are. We have about 3 feet down and then 5 feet going up in terms of aeration. And since this is the top floor, I think it's even 6 feet, yeah, in terms of aeration going up. And what that does is that it provides for us enough air to serve 3 functions. First function is to just provide enough oxygen for the chickens inside to breathe, because they're living things. They need oxygen to breathe, yeah? Number 1. Number 2, to provide enough space for the toxic gases that are inside the chicken house to escape, yeah? So if those toxic gases are consistently escaping, they don't build up inside and the birds get to remain comfortable. But the third thing, which is actually the point that contributes to that litter being okay, is that it allows for the moisture that's inside the house to also escape and for the litter to be kept dry. Yeah? If this place was very closed and there was very little room for aeration, what would happen is that you would have a lot of moisture building up because it's not interacting with the outside. Because when the birds are, pooping and, putting their droppings there, there's a lot of moisture, there's a lot of water in their droppings. The birds themselves are consistently drinking water. There's water inside there. They'll splash some of it and it pours down. So if it's not dry inside there, there's going to be a lot of moisture. And if that moisture, doesn't dry, if the place is not allowed to dry, the litter is not allowed to dry, that's going to cause the place to get wet, and that's just going to cause, in the end, the place to smell. If there's a lot of moisture, remember there's a lot already poop, the birds are already pooping inside there, it's going to cause that place to smell. That is one way that we do it. Number 2 is by using the deep litter system that I'm utilizing. Yeah. So if I was on a farm that uses cages, it would be impossible for it to not smell, because on cages the droppings fall as just droppings, manure in the floor. You don't have any litter inside like we are using, yeah? So the droppings will fall down on the floor and then they'll just keep piling up and then they'll start smelling. Now, depending on which kind of farm you are, sometimes they'll add some form of chemical, yeah, inside the droppings to ensure that they don't smell, but it's very, very difficult to contain it. Now, because we are using deep litter, that helps us because the droppings of the chickens mix together the litter that's inside the house. So litter is usually wood shavings. That's what I personally use, yeah? It has been proven that pine wood shavings are the best. Sometimes I can't get pine wood shavings, but I use wood shavings and they are the best. Sometimes you can use rice husks, they are okay too. You can use coffee husks, they are all okay, yeah? So any of those 3 really should work. So if you use wood shavings, place wood shavings inside your chicken house and then place them in a good enough quantity. If you're using broilers, about 2 to 3 inches is enough. If you're using layers, they say 4 to 6 inches is enough. So depending on where the floor is, on the lower floor I'll put sometimes up to 6 inches. On the upper floor, to limit the weight, I usually do about 4 inches of the litter. Yep. Now if you do 4 inches of the litter, what happens is that every time that the chickens poop, their droppings will go down there and then they'll get mixed up with the litter. As you guys saw, the chickens, they'll keep dust bathing, scratching in the litter because chickens naturally scratch. And as they keep doing that, all the litter is going to mix itself together with the droplets and they're just going to get mixed up there, and that's just going to kill the smell for you, yeah? So you need to have a good enough layer. If you don't have a good enough layer inside the house, then it's going to be quite a problem for you. You're going to have a very big problem trying to contain, that smell, yeah? Because then what's going to happen is that the poop is again going to pile up, then it's going to start smelling. It's going to become quite problematic for you, yeah? That's the second thing that I've done. The third thing that I actually haven't told you guys is that once in a while we change the litter. So for this house, we've actually changed the litter once, yeah? So this flock is 88 weeks of age, and we've managed to change the litter once. Now, changing the litter comes with its problems, yeah? The problem is that a lot of people, when they want to change the litter, and this is the mistake that I also went through, is that in the past, when I wanted to change the litter inside the poultry house, if it, for example, started caking, because sometimes it might just start caking, yeah? It might start caking, maybe water slowly has been pouring in from the drinkers, or for whatsoever reason, it might start caking. I usually change the litter in every flock just once, yeah, throughout the period of the flock. The way I used to change it first in the past is that I would decide that it's now time to change the litter, and then what I do is that I get people to come from the outside on one random day, and then they bring bags, and then they just start collecting litter, putting it together. And during that time, the birds are very stressed. They start jumping, flying all over because, you know, they fear the bags. As the bags are being carried around, they're seeing your spades and everything. They start getting stressed out, yeah? And then what would happen is that the next day my production would drop, and for about a week or two I would have low production, yeah? That's the wrong way of doing the litter change. What I personally do right now is that, first of all, my houses are not too big. Yeah, they are big, but they're not too big, yeah? 20 meters in terms of length and 8 meters in terms of width. That's not too big. So the way I do it is that I get people, the workers who work inside, to slowly take out the litter. While the guy is doing his work, maybe in a day he'll take out 4 or 5 bags, yeah? Just enough. Then the next day like that. And then after maybe 2 or 3 days, most of the litter will be done. And then what will happen is that I'll then bring in new litter from the outside, yeah? I'll bring my wood shavings in and put them in, yeah? So for a period of 2 or 3 days, even if it's very little litter remaining inside, it's not going to be a very big issue. It becomes an issue if you leave it with very little litter over a very long period, yeah? So over the final day, they'll take out the remaining litter and then they'll put inside new litter inside the house, and it's not going to stress the birds at all, yeah? So I change the litter once in a while, maybe once during the life cycle of the birds. Sometimes, depending on, you know, for example, on the breeder farm, I space my birds at a spacing of about 3.8 birds per square meter, 3.8. With that spacing, I never need to change the litter because the density is so low that the litter never gets like too bad in terms of getting messed, yeah? So that in that way, I never even need to get the litter out. But that's what I personally do right here, yeah? So if you put the correct amount of litter inside, if you provide enough aeration inside the litter, another thing that I do is raking. So if you also do keep the raking, of course the birds scratch the litter, yeah? But sometimes they're not able to change everything and turn it all the way down. So I have the guys rake the litter every day, yeah? So the guys who are working inside the house, they all have rakes which they utilize to, you know, rake the litter inside the chicken houses. So if you keep doing those things, you know, consistently rake inside the house, make sure that the house is aerated, ensure that, you know, you change the litter occasionally and you put quite a good amount of litter inside the chicken house, then you're going to have, you know, problems of smells around. You should be able to eat food around the house and not have any issues around the house. That's what personally has been happening to me, and I'm really enjoying keeping the farm. Like I've already shown you guys, I do have my house right next to the chicken houses and they barely smell. The only thing that disturbs us is the sound, yeah? I wouldn't say it disturbs us, but, you know, the noise, yeah? So when the birds are being fed, you can literally hear that they are being fed, but that's the music that we signed up to, yeah? And we are okay with that. I love that because it helps me understand if there's a problem with the birds or anything. They'll just make noise and we'll sort it out immediately. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. That's how I manage to not have a smell, and that's how I keep the farm clean. I'll probably make another video about, you know, keeping the farm environment clean, because as you guys can see, my place is clean. We don't have like, you know, dirt all around. It's very beautiful and enjoyable. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, smash the notification bell. Catch you very soon with another video. Lots of love. Bye-bye.